I was glad it was gone.
Yeah.
I was sitting on it. I screwed up at least 3 times. I called, I just like called the roll. I told Amy to call the roll before we had a motion.
He's just ready to get it over with.
Yeah, I'm just like.
Okay, so items 1.
I'm going to pull number 5. Mama raised me.
So 3 and 4. 3 and 4. Good evening. It's 7:01. We're a little late because we had a late ending to our work session, but I will now gavel the Gardner City Council meeting to order. Will you please stand with me and recite the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming out. We have a special presentation this evening. We've asked, let me see here, Bella Conley, right? And are you Jada? Mm-hmm. Jada Bradley. They're both violinists with Gardner Elementary School. Is that correct? And they are going to play one of the selections that they performed this afternoon for for staff and visitors this afternoon after our cocoa and cookies function at City Hall. So without further ado, I'll let them take it away. Oh, I'm sorry, Elena Herman's out here too as well. Sorry about that.
She's going to just like that.
Oh, okay. very much, ladies. And this is a beginner class. They wanted to come out and just kind of do a quick little recital, and we gave them an opportunity. And it's pretty cool to see. And what grade you guys in? What grade you in? Fifth grade. And
Fifth grade.
All fifth graders. That's amazing. You guys are doing a great job, and just keep following it, keep doing it. So I have a certificate of appreciation for your donation of song and music. Alina, here's yours. And Bella,
Thank you.
there you go. And Jada, come on up here and get a picture.
Everybody's up. 1, 2, 3.
Give them away, give them away.
Just feel bad they had the picture with their hair.
Okay. That's the nicest and easiest part of our entire agenda.
I could have never done that at their age.
No way. There is no way. I'm all thumbs when it comes to instruments. All right. The next item on the agenda is a public hearing. And the public hearing is on the proposed redevelopment plan for the Main Street Marketplace. About a month ago, we approved the public hearing, and I believe there was already notice that was placed on the paper record to come forward on this. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Motion Melton, second Moore, that we open the public hearing for the purpose of receiving comments on the proposed redevelopment project plan, Main Street Marketplace. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Public hearing is now open. If you have a comment, please come forward. State your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tyler Ellsworth with the law firm of Kutak Rock, the city's bond counsel. I wanted to take the opportunity of the public hearing this evening on the TIF project plan to give you just a reminder of what's in that TIF project plan, since that's the purpose of the hearing. But first, to give you just a brief update on where we are in the incentive proceedings for the whole project. So as you'll recall, the developer for certain portions of the shopping center came to the city and requested TIF financing, community improvement district, and sales tax IRBs to facilitate redevelopment of the shopping center in 3 different pieces. There's sort of 1/3 on the western edge, 1/3 in the middle, 1/3 on the eastern edge. The TIF project plan that's the subject of the hearing this evening is just for the new grocery store and the pad site in the western third. That's project area 1. We are currently still in still in negotiation with the developer and their representatives on the development agreement. And so most of the proceedings that we had penciled in for this evening's meeting, we're going to suggest that those be pushed to the January 22nd council meeting. So you only have 2 agenda items this evening related to the Main Street Marketplace project. There's this public hearing on the TIF project plan, and there's also essentially a procedural item on your new business portion of the agenda related to the CID, and we can explain that when we get there. Essentially, so I'm happy to answer any questions later on about where things stand, but essentially we're still in negotiations. We expect to be back here next month. The purpose of the hearing is to discuss the TIF component and the TIF project plan for this western third of the shopping center. In a nutshell, we expect, based on our discussions with the developer and input from your financial advisor, Bruce Kimmel with Ellers, who's here this evening, that the TIF will run between 10 and 12 years. And during that 10 to 12 year term, there will be collected from the increase in taxes on the shopping center in the western third, the new Price Chopper, as well as the new retail development in the eastern third of the shopping center, that TIF will be generated in the amount of $2.6 million, which will be available to reimburse the developer's cost for infrastructure and site improvements related to the new grocery store. So with that, I think I'll leave that there and open it up for anybody else's comments.
Thank you, Tyler. Any other comments on the TIF district as outlined by Bond Counsel Ellsworth? Seeing no further comment. Oh, yes.
I would suggest, I neglected to mention that because we're pushing most of the proceedings to January 22nd, rather than closing the hearing this evening, I suggest that you continue it and resume the public hearing if you wish on January 22nd. That would correspond with the other incentive proceedings.
All right. I will ask for some guidance from City Attorney on this one. Do we just recess, or do we?
Yeah, you can. You've opened the public hearing, you wouldn't close it, and you'd continue it to a date certain. That's permissible.
Okay, so we don't need to have any further action this evening then?
No, you'd make a motion
Make a
to
motion to
continue the
recess.
public hearing to the date certain that Mr. Ellsworth
Okay.
mentioned.
All right, so do I have a motion to continue the hearing on the 22nd of January?
So moved.
Second.
Motion Moore, second Melton, that we continue the public hearing on the 22nd of January 2019. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we are continuing the public hearing on the 22nd of January. We're back in regular session. Okay, public comments. Members of the public are welcome to use this time to make public comments about city matters or items on the agenda that are not part of a public hearing. Since we just ended a public hearing, we cannot discuss the TIF issues with Main Street Marketplace, but we can have anything else come forward that is on your mind. If you come forward, please understand we have a 5-minute clock. Also, make sure that you don't use any profanity or any personal attacks from your position on the podium. With that being said, I'll open up the floor for public comments. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and be heard.
It's just a head and arms and legs.
You're
Clint Barney, 136 North C Street.
Glad I could be there
Sorry.
for you, buddy.
No, I totally forgot. Oh, I wouldn't be here tonight if I could watch it online. Wondering when that's going to be fixed or remedied. I like to watch the kids while watching you guys. So if that could be remedied, that would be great. That's all I got.
Thanks, Clint. We'll address that in council updates. I think we might have an answer for that. Any other public comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to consent agenda. Is there any council member wishes to remove an item from the consent agenda?
Item number 5.
Item number 5. All right. And
We wanted to do 2.
let's see here. No, that's done.
Okay, sorry. my bad.
So, anybody else have anything to remove? Okay. Then do I have a motion on consent agenda items 1 through 4?
So moved.
Second.
Motion Gregorczyk, second Baldwin. Okay, I'll give it to him. To approve consent agenda items 1 through 4. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Consent agenda items 1 through 4 pass. Consent agenda item number 5, consider authorizing the city administrator to enter into contract with Creative Artists Agency for entertainment during the City of Gardner's 2019 4th of July event. Rich?
So I know in years past, I think the city administrator's authority to just sign for something is $25,000. Is that correct? So, and this year it's this act we're asking for is $30,000. Is that right? So basically, in years past, we haven't had to vote on this because we were right under the signature authority of the previous city administrator, or well, the city administrator, whoever that is. So really, we're only looking at a small increase over the top for, I'm guessing, who's going to be just a fantastic artist. Of course, right. So that was the only thing I wanted to make sure that we knew why it was different this year than in years past. So.
And if I may, correct me if I'm wrong, the total amount's not changing, it's just the distribution of how it's being spent?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, the budget dollar stays the same.
Right. So,
Okay.
I'm fine with that. So,
Okay. Any other comments or questions? All right. With that being said, I will entertain a motion on the consent agenda item number 5.
so moved.
Second.
Motion Melton, second Winters, that we authorize city administrator to enter into a contract with Creative Artists Agency for entertainment during the City of Gardner's 2019 4th of July event. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, any abstentions? Consent agenda item 5 passes. Committee recommendations. Consider adopting an ordinance approving amendments to the Gardner Comprehensive Plan, Chapter 12, Capital Improvement Element. Gons Garcia, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Last year, the City Council approved an ordinance to amend to the Gardner Comprehensive Plan, Chapter 12, which is a capital improvement element. The city has recently completed updates to the transportation plan, so we had to update the schedules in the CIE to reflect these additions, plus some additional projects that were related to utilities. So at the September 25th, 2018 meeting, the Planning Commission approved a motion to adopt a resolution to amend the Gardner Comprehensive Plan to include a revised Chapter 12 capital improvement element and 4 recommendations of approval to the governing body. So we have a new ordinance to adopt the revised CIE plan.
Yeah, that ordinance is 2596, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Stay right there, Gons. I'm going to ask for public comment, if anyone wishes to comment on committee recommendation item number 1. Seeing none, questions or comments for Gons from the dais? Okay, thank you very much, Gons. With that being said, we'll go on ahead and entertain a motion on committee recommendation item number 1.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Melton, second Winters, that we adopt ordinance 2596 approving the Planning Commission adopted version of the Gardner Comprehensive Plan amendments to Chapter 12 Capital Improvement Element. City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilman Winters?
Yes.
Councilman Baldwin?
Yes.
Councilman Gregorczyk?
Yes?
Councilman Melton?
Yes.
Councilman Moore?
Yes.
Ordinance 2596 passes.
Thank you.
Yes. Committee recommendation item number 2. Consider accepting the dedication of right-of-way and easements on the final plat for Symphony Farms 4. Larry Powell, good evening. I know that there's been a lot of work put into this.
Yes, there has, Mayor. Thank you. Amy, could you please bring up the maps, please? Thank you. So there's a staff recommendation from the Planning Commission to approve FP-18-07, a final plat for Symphony Farms 4, a portion of parcel ID CF 221415-2013, located northeast of the intersection of West 167th Street and Kill Creek Road. And based on the review of a staff report dated November 27, 2018, and a final plat and street plan dated November 15, 2018, and the conditions outline the recommendations that the governing body accept any rights-of-way and easements. And this is the final plat location. The striped area in the top left-hand corner of Kill Creek Road is the new final plat area. The parcel was originally annexed into the city in 2003 under ordinance number 2064, and also in 2003 an additional application to rezone the parcel from agricultural to R1 was made, and that was approved by ordinance number 2082. In 2005, a preliminary plat known at the time as Reserve at Kill Creek was approved for a large single-family residential subdivision of over 300 acres, but no final plat was ever approved in the subsequent location, and the site remained undeveloped. In 2014, the City Comprehensive Plan has identified this area as low-density residential, which complies with the proposed use of the site as given to us in the final plat. Although the original preliminary plat expired, the applicant submitted and obtained approval from a new preliminary plat at the November 27, 2018 Planning Commission meeting, and a portion of this site, the 43 lots on the 12.83 acres that are shown, generally follows the same layout as the formal preliminary plat, with the exception of extending the length of the cul-de-sac. Can I have the second map, please? Oh, I've got it. Thank you. Which is shown in this final plat. And this generally follows the same layout During the November 27, 2018 Planning Commission meeting, the Commission also considered the final plat application, and no members of the public spoke against or for. The Commission approved the final plat with 2 conditions by a unanimous vote of 6-0, and recommends the governing body accept the dedication of rights-of-way and easement. The excise tax of the financial impacts is the amount of $111,924.40 shall be paid to the city prior to the mayor signing an approved recordable plat is the only condition. So other than that, it is ready for your acceptance.
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate it. Any public comment on committee recommendation item number 2? No one coming forward, questions or comments for Larry?
I just have not a question, but a statement. I'm happy to see that this is upon us. I'm happy that staff was able to get with the Symphony Farms group to rectify some of the challenges they had from the past. So I appreciate all y'all's hard work, Larry, in getting this done and seeing that area develop. So thank you very much.
I'll second Councilman Gorsuch's comment. Nothing else being said, I'll entertain a motion on.
So moved.
Second.
Motion of Gorsuch, second Baldwin, that we accept the dedication of right-of-way easements and the final plat for Symphony Farms 4. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, any abstentions? Committee recommendation item number 2 passes. Committee recommendation item number 3. And I think that we're going to be considering both of these within the same presentation, correct? 3 and 4. Consider recommended denial of amendment TA-18-12 to Title 7 pertaining to street trees, and consider adopting an ordinance approving amendment TA-18-11 to GMC Title 17 Land Development Code for the Gardner Municipal Code. I will have you do the presentation on both, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. What we would like to do is basically present, since these documents are tied together into some context with the review of the Land Development Code, we would like to present them all at one time and then have you decide which action you care to take on these actions. So the first one, basically our committee recommendation number 3 from the Planning Commission. This item was initiated by the City Council at their May 21st, 2018 meeting with the intent of the Planning Commission would investigate alternatives and provide a recommendation regarding street trees. And at the October 23rd, 2018 Planning Commission meeting, staff provided background materials and initiated a discussion so that the Planning Commission could provide direction regarding potential text amendments pertaining to street trees. And as you've seen through the documents, the report included a summary of street tree benefits, placemaking, environmental health, public safety, etc., and what the current regulations, including mechanisms for deviations, area regulations, and adopted policies supporting those are, and they're all included in the October 23rd Planning Commission packet provided to you. Staff recommended no change to the street tree regulations, but initiated a discussion on most effective implementation or deployment of street trees. And upon presentation of that report and research and extensive discussion, the Planning Commission made a recommendation against pursuing regulatory changes at this time, but noted that if there were problems with installation and maintenance in the future, various mechanisms could be discussed for implementation over and above those that had already been talked about. So the no public comments were offered during the public meeting at that particular point in time. However, we did receive written comments from developers, which were included in the packet for your review at that particular point in time. And so the recommendation on that is to deny text amendment TA 18-12, an amendment to Title 17 of the Land Development Code of the Gardner Municipal Code pertaining to trees. If you were to support that denial, nothing changes. In other words, the text amendment would stand in the code as written, and there would be no changes to it at this point in time. So we'll hold that in abeyance at the current for just a minute.
So just let me make sure I'm clear, Larry. If we say yes, then street trees continue. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So the other items we have under item 4, committee recommendations, were under TA 1811, and this particular one is the regulations impacting garage and driveway configurations of the duplex building type only. And the Planning Commission, after review of the findings of this recommendation in the staff reports dated October 23rd, 2018 and November 27th, 2018, and holding a public hearing on November 27th, 2018, recommends that the governing body adopt the following text amendments to Title 17 Title 17 Gardner Land Development Code. Section 170704O, specific building type standards for the duplex building type design and performance standards, and garage limits to equal 30% of facade if not front-end loaded, and up to 60% of setback 10 feet from the front building line, with no limits if the garages were located on the side, rear, or detached. Planning Commission recommendation number 2 was that after review of the findings in the staff reports dated of those same meetings, that governing body adopt no text amendments for TA 18-11B to Title 17 Gardner Land Development Code, particular section 17.07.050 frontage design, subsection C, design standards for the for the suburban yard frontage type access with limits, and that would be that they take no action or deny any recommendation for changes. The Planning Commission, after recommendation on item 3, review of findings of staff reports dated the same meeting, TA-18-11C to Title 17 Gardner Land Development Code, section 17.07.050 frontage design, subsection C, hardscape standards, would be that those also would not change. There is a recommended motion for approval of the text amendments, and I will read that to you. The Planning Commission, after review of findings and staff reports dated October 23, 2018 and November 27, 2018, and after holding a public hearing on November 27, 2018, recommends that the governing body adopt the following text amendments: TA 1811 to Text Amendment 17 Gardner Land Development Code, Section 1707.040, specific building type standards for the duplex building design and performance standards, and this is a change to the garage limits of the facade definition from 25 to 30% of facade if front loaded, and up to 60% of setback from the original 15-foot requirement to a 10-foot 10-foot setback from the front building line, and no limits if they are side, rear, or detached. And under section 17.07.050, frontage design, subsection C, design standards for the suburban yard frontage type access with limits, be changed from 30 to 40% and from 24 to 32% maximum per access point applicable to the area of the right-of-way. This is the driveway width limit. All of these recommendations then were presented to you in total. The concept being that since we are now in the midst of a beginning of a code review as part of the comprehensive plan review, rather than to continue to take pokes at all of these different items on a item-by-item basis, to send them back as one recommendation to the Planning Commission so that they could be consolidated into an overall review, and that you could have one document come to you that would look at all of these changes in mass and how they affect everything else within the code itself, instead of taking them one at a time and either supporting them through the denial recommendation or approving them in the opposite way. So that is the discussion point now for all those different areas.
Thank you very much, Larry, for that concise and comprehensive analysis. Any public comments on committee recommendation, item 3 or 4? No one else coming forward. We can do this in one of two ways. We can either have separate votes on each of these text amendments, or we can choose to remand this back to the Planning Commission and have it part of the comprehensive plan review process. Personally, I would like to not have 15 bites of the apple. I'd like to have one, have it all comprehensive. But
this is one of the things our developers have told Steve and I, that when we add these little mixes on there and it creates confusion. So I'm kind of with the mayor on this, that we should probably kind of push this off and let it all get fixed at the same time.
Makes sense.
Well, similar to the work session,
right.
I think if Planning Commission wants to look at these as they have time and, you know, analyze them and then present them to us in a presentation or something as we go, but we don't have to decide on them until we have them all together, that's a great idea.
Yeah, I wanted to make it clear that I know that the staff and Planning Commission have done a lot of work on these amendments. I don't want that work to be lost.
Right.
For obvious reasons. But this did start before we started the plan review process.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just makes sense from the perspective of the staff members and myself that we try to, keep this as how do I put this, as clean and consistent and non-confusing as possible. So we would just have that recommendation rolled into the comprehensive changes that we're looking to.
So we make a motion to send it back to Planning Commission?
We would make a motion to remand back to Planning Commission with the direction of incorporating that into the comprehensive plan review process.
So
Second.
Motion Melton, second Moore, that we remand this back to Planning Commission for further analysis during the comprehensive plan review process. Now, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Any abstentions? Committee recommendation 3 and 4 have been remanded back to Planning Commission for further consideration during the plan review process. Thank you very much. Let's see here. New business. We don't have any old business. New business. Item number 1, consider adopting a resolution providing notice to be given for a public hearing concerning the advisability of the creation of a community improvement district within the city and declaring the intent of the city to levy a community improvement sales tax, district sales tax, for the Main Street Marketplace CID. And I believe, Matt, you're going to be making a presentation on this? Thank you. Yes.
let's see.
Yes, that's our finance director.
Good evening, Mayor, Council.
Yes.
The public hearing for the CID district was originally scheduled for tonight, but it's going to be rescheduled because the developer recently submitted an amended petition. The amended petition changed the approximate cost from $4.5 million to $12.5 million. Please note this is not an apples-to-apples cost comparison. The $4.5 million in the original petition was based on the estimated bond proceeds for the developer from issuing special obligation bonds, while the $12.5 million includes principal and interest payments plus a pay-as-you-go component after the bonds are paid off. The 1% SID sales tax on the district is expected to generate about $12.5 million in revenue over 22 years. This petition now reflects that. Staff recommends the council adopt a resolution setting a new public hearing date for January 22nd. Bond Counsel Ellsworth is also available to answer any additional questions you may have.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Matt. Bond Counsel Ellsworth, if you'd like to address the council, you can do so now, or you can wait till after public comments.
I'll wait till after public comments.
Okay. Any public comments on new business item number 1? With no one coming forward, Bond Counsel Ellsworth?
Good thing you waited.
Yeah, well, 15 seconds.
That's right.
Yes.
I'm actually going to suggest that Bruce Kim will come and explain sort of how the $4.5 million in the original petition compares to the $12.5 million in this petition. They're essentially paid from the same revenue stream, but I'll have him explain that.
Okay, thank you.
Good
Hello,
evening.
Bruce. Good evening.
Mayor and Council, Bruce Kimball Fowlers. It's nice to be back. I thought Matt did a nice job of summarizing the distinction between the $4.5 million in the original petition and the $12.5 now. Just to give you a little bit more detail, we're currently contemplating about $5.5 million of bond principal if the SO-CID bonds are issued. There'd be about $3.8 million of interest that would be paid on those bonds. And then, as Matt mentioned, these tails, which would be the CID revenues available after the bonds are paid off early, would be about 3.2. So if you add the 5.5, the 3.8, the 3.2, you get to the 12.5. So we just wanted to reiterate, it's a big number difference, but we feel good about this change in the petition. This is part and parcel with the proposed reduction in the tax increment that we've discussed previously, right? And we think that utilizing CID to a greater extent and lessening the usage of TIF to what's being contemplated now is better overall for the city. So, thank you.
Yes, and then the only question that I would have, Bruce, on this is the CID would still be the the entirety of the project and not just the western third. This is the whole.
Mr. Mayor, that's right. The CID 1% sales tax would be collected from the entire Moonlight Plaza or Main Street Marketplace redevelopment.
Thank you.
Bruce, I have an additional question. Just from a percentage perspective, how much is the TIF financing versus the CID? Is there a percentage like 70-30, 90-10?
Yes, Councilman Gregorczyk, I didn't do those exact percentages, but we can figure that out here. As Bond Counsel Ellsworth mentioned, we're looking at a present value on the property tax increment capped at $2.6 million. So if we look at present values, that might be the best way of doing that.
Okay.
So 2.6 for the property TIF. We're looking at the bonds yielding about $5 million in present value to the project, so almost twice as much, right? And then the tails, if you present value that back to today's dollars, is about 1.1 million, give or take. So I guess if we add the CID bonds of $5 million of present value plus 1.1, that's about 6.1 versus 2.6.
Okay.
So not quite 1/3, 2/3, but in that ballpark.
Yeah, good enough. Thank you so
Yep,
much.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Do I have a motion on Resolution 2005?
So moved. Second?
Motion Melton, second Gregorczyk, that we adopt Resolution 2005, providing for notice to be given for a public hearing concerning the advisability of the creation of a community improvement district within the city, declaring the intent of the city to levy a community investment improvement district sales tax pursuant to KSA 12-6A26 at second, repealing and replacing resolution number 2000 of the city for the Main Street Marketplace SID, and this would set the hearing date for January 22nd. City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilman Baldwin?
Yes.
Councilman Gregorczyk?
Yes.
Councilman Melton?
Yes.
Councilman Moore?
Yes.
Councilman Winters?
Yes.
Resolution 2005 passes. New business item number 2, consider Southwest Johnson County Economic Development Corporation SJC-EDC agreement. Matthew.
Staff recommends the City Council approve an agreement with Southwest Johnson County EDC for 2019 and authorize the distribution of funds. There's $80,000 budgeted for 2019 in the Economic Development Fund for this agreement. Greg Martinette, President of Southwest Johnson County EDC, is here tonight with a brief overview of his work plan for 2019.
Thanks, Matt. Quickly, Andy, this is the presentation I did back in April. And since YouTube's not working tonight, I'm not going to do that 45-minute presentation.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. You're halfway to your money right now.
So I want to thank you all for the additional support we received this last year, and I think you've seen some of the results of that, and what we're telling folks now is this coming construction season, I think we're going to see the biggest, the most construction that this community has ever seen, and I think that's just going to build momentum. And without going into specific projects, like you know about the Belfonte car wash that's gearing up, Price Chopper, the work behind Austin's, the Vilbus deal with the Flex Tech, which we were talking about earlier, which we do badly need, and the Vilbus project on to the west by the high school, industrial on the outskirts of town. We are, and then the mixed use over on the Grata development project, where we're already working with users of property that want to stake their claim there. And Mayor, you know, we were over there at their office on Wednesday morning with their team, and that is rolling so fast. And it's a lot of work by a lot of people. And when I stand here talking about what we've got going on, it's because a lot of people have been doing the right things for the last few years, and it takes time, and it's taken more time now than it ever has in the 25 years I've been doing this, and it takes a lot of patience, but sometimes things come together, and that's what's going to happen this construction season. I want to introduce to you Ed York from Arvest Banks here. He's representing my executive committee, and let me tell you that it is not lost on them that and my entire board, the impact of your commitment has made, and also the Johnson County Airport Commission. They want to see Gardner as a true partner, and that's where we are now. And I think we fit hand in glove with what we're doing in Gardner, what we're trying to do at New Century. We've got, we're working with an aircraft manufacturer over there now. We're working with CenturyLink's building to optimize that. We have room for approximately 200,000 square foot of office. So this will be, and we're going to start working with them to bring those in. And it's going to be names of companies that you will recognize. And it'd be nice to get that building full and to about the 2,000 people over there that it can hold. But that's all I'm going to do. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. You can call me anytime with things that are on your mind or any questions. And Mayor?
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate
Yep,
it.
yep.
Open the floor for public comment on new business item number 2. No one coming forward. Any questions for Greg Martinet? I know he's been burning the midnight oil there.
Well,
busy.
I personally would just like to say thank you, Greg. You know, I was a pretty big critic when I first got up here about what was going on and how things were going at Southwest Johnson County EDC, and I can tell you that I have no problem authorizing this, and you've done a fantastic job.
Thank you.
A lot of these guys up here don't know as much as I do, but you've been really doing a great job. And
You always say that. You say that all the time.
So, anyway, but I thank you for what you've done.
Yeah,
So,
thanks,
Break
Rich.
your arm, patting yourself on the back there.
I can't reach my back. I don't know what you're talking about.
Anybody else?
I would like to, obviously I don't know as much as Councilman Melton.
It maybe didn't come out the right way, but I think it's appropriate either way.
But I would like to say thank you for the things that I've noticed that you've done for this community. It has been tremendous to watch the growth and to know that Southwest Johnson County EDC is part of a big part of the reason for the growth, and it's through your efforts directly. So I just want to make sure that you get recognition for that, Greg.
Thank you.
Because yeah, I along with Rich, I was an early critic of the Southwest Johnson County EDC. I was not bought in, did not fully understand the impact that you guys can bring, and you've really in the last year and a half you've really brought it, so to speak.
Yeah.
So
Thank you
for that.
Thanks, Lee.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I think, go ahead, Mark.
No. Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's money well spent. I appreciate your partnership and your availability and the 25 years of tenure and experience that you have to guide the city of Gardner and its elected officials. So I appreciate you, Greg.
Thank
Mark?
you.
I don't need to continue the accolades, Greg. You've done a great job. My question is for one of the interims. Because this is from the transient guest tax and the hotel hasn't opened, how are our numbers looking for, since we revised the 2018 budget and then 19 and 20, everything's still, we had a little room in there, so everything's still good? Yes? Perfect.
There's been nothing jump out so far.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
We're down about a quarter, I think, like a quarter's worth of revenue, which we wouldn't have seen anyway until the second half of 2019. So,
And to clarify, to piggyback on what Mark said, this is on the 2-year budget cycle?
yeah.
But you only approve.
1 year?
No, it's 2 years, but you have to, don't forget, you have to
Approve it.
This year.
Okay.
You have to go on the wholesale now. So
Okay.
you really shouldn't make that decision unless something crashes.
Right. And right now, it's a dollar amount, not a percentage, correct?
It is a dollar amount for the 2-year cycle.
So we might want to consider
Goal
that,
was percentage.
yeah, continue that goal and look at a percentage when we get down the road versus a hard dollar. And I would say that for the chamber just as well, and Greg and I have talked briefly, so. But nonetheless, I think it's a great investment.
Thank you.
I think we're going to be looking at a review of that and seeing what we can do to accommodate organizations, but at the same time be fiscally responsible with our transit guest tax. So.
By the way, we're going to hold our annual meeting in February at the new hotel, and they had promised me that I'd be the first one in the new conference center, and unfortunately we can't set the date yet, so we're hoping it's the end of February. So.
Yeah. Are we going to do your State of the City?
Oh yeah, yeah. We have the Council of Mayors meeting there first week in March, and then we haven't selected a specific date for State of the City, but it will be very shortly thereafter. Yeah.
This gets busy
Keep
already.
up the good work.
Thanks, Todd.
Yes, yes, thank
appreciate
you.
it.
So can I have a
So
motion
moved.
on? Second? You guys aren't even letting me say it, are you? Motion Moore, second Gregorczyk, that we authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with Southwest Johnson County EDC for economic development services for one additional year ending December 31st, 2019. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, any abstentions?
Thank you all.
There you go, Greg, another bit of money for your endeavors. You'll probably need it. Okay, new business item number 3, consider the appointment of a finance director. Laura Gorley, former finance director, now interim city administrator.
I just took it all out of the card.
This is Ika.
Ika. Ika, yeah, that's
Yes.
right. So per our personnel rules, section 3-106, applicants for department director level positions and above shall be appointed by the city council upon recommendation of the city administrator. Since in October, I suggested and you confirmed to appoint Mr. Wolf as our interim finance director. And since then, he's done nothing but show that he's responsible and has project ownership and he's a strategic thinker. But most importantly, he has team-oriented leadership and he fits your culture. He's been here, he's a certified professional finance officer, he has a master's degree, and he has relationships that make him a great fit. So that's my recommendation, is that you make him your finance director.
How do you feel about that, Matt?
I'm excited about the opportunity.
Okay. Just making sure.
What do you expect me to say?
Well,
I didn't ask him, I just surprised him.
That's what I wanted to ask.
All right, any public comment on new business item number 3? Well, I won't ask them to come up, but I know that Bruce Kimmel and Tyler Ellsworth have been very much supportive of this. So, anyone here on the dais wants to ask questions about this?
Yeah, I'd just like to see if Matt could come up and address the board, maybe give a speech.
Can we ask interview questions?
Speak off the cuff? Man.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Matt was willing to do it.
I know he was.
Okay. All right, any other comments, questions? Okay, no other further discussion. I'll entertain a motion on new business item.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Moore, second Baldwin.
Oh, come on.
That we approve the appointment of Matt Wolf as the finance director. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Any abstentions? Congratulations, Matt Wolf. You are now the finance director of the city of Gardner. All right, council updates. Man, we are doing well.
I'm ruined.
You know what, that probably just ruined it. Oral presentation unless otherwise noted. Okay, staff, does any staff have anything for council? I'll start with Chief Pruding. No. All right.
Updates on the Justice Center?
Justice Center's going great. If any of the members of council want to take a tour, just let me know. And
oh, I want that hard.
Really easy. They've got the studs, the metal studs, and outline of the building inside done. Roof's done. They're putting in window framing this week. So
awesome.
Making good progress.
You have lights on in there yet?
They've got lights.
Yeah, lights.
Permanent lights.
Temporary.
They've got a lot of utilities going in.
Great, great, super.
Great.
Excellent report. City Clerk, Amy Nestor.
No, sir.
New Finance Director, Wolf.
Yes, sir.
All right, City Attorney. Okay. Public. You're always last. Yes. You get the last word, interim city administrator. Michael Kramer, Public Works.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a quick update. Last week we met with our airport consultant who's also designing our sanitary sewer. They're in the process of drafting one easement that we do need for the sewer and working on towards obtaining that. And also, even though it's underground, it is construction on an airport, so we do have to go through the airspace analysis. So that's in the process of being submitted to the FAA.
Thank you.
So I just would like to thank the council for their input tonight for the joint session that we had with the planning commission. It's something that actually the staff and planning commission is going to do some time to bring groups together to try and have some joint discussion about these issues and items so that we could all feel that we're really understanding what's facing us as we continue to grow as a community. So appreciate that. Other than that, I have nothing. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Larry. Parks and Rec, Jason Bruce.
No, sir.
I'm going to talk about how our team just decimated the other teams for the coffee, for the cocoa and the cookies, huh?
I was going to mention that you and I are 2-0 on the year, but wait.
Yeah, I know. We're just rocking. Mr. Gons Garcia, utilities, nothing. Okay. Now the interim city administrator gets her shot.
Since I get my last word.
Yes, you do.
I just wanted to give you the update that you asked for on the AV and the streaming, which just did something weird. Charles says that they just got permission on the 13th, so that would have been Thursday, from the manufacturer for a repair. And it says the service contractor is unable to give an ETA on the camera. I would expect we would have it back before the next meeting, but I cannot guarantee that as we are at the mercy of the repair facility.
I'll live stream it next time.
Oh,
So, well, then you're still, next one's not until January. So we
yeah,
have an extra
January,
week this time.
January 7th, so yeah. All right, well, we got some time. Good, excellent. Thank you for that.
We can just put last year's State of the City on repeat. That's what that was, wasn't it?
Mostly.
Yeah.
It's long runs the lobby all the time.
Yeah. Okay, does governing body have anything for staff? And I'll start with Councilman Morris.
I just have one thing, and it's more of a consideration for council. As we wait for the electric utility analysis to come out, what I wanted to put on the table is consider a PCA on a weighted basis for citizen tenure, and try to alleviate some of the costs that we're going to see in 2020 on the wastewater and water. We can get into meat and potatoes later, but I just wanted to put that out there for council to consider. I don't have it fully fleshed out myself, but I think it's a good idea at face value. We've talked about...
What was that? I'm sorry. What was it?
So power cost adjustment, what they're looking to do is if you've got a longer tenure of residence within the city limits, you get a weighted break, basically, almost like a homestead exemption or a homestead
Yeah, basically. And so we've talked about overages and recouping or giving credits back out to the community. I looked into the PCA on a weighted basis for citizen tenure.
How does it work if I'm moved multiple houses, or it just matter the same one?
Citizen tenure, not necessarily that you own or rent. It's just the number of years you've been in Gardner paying your
paying
utility.
electric bills in Gardner. Yeah.
So again, I just wanted to put that on the table for consideration. I'm not looking for any motions or movement or action, just something to consider as the analysis for the electric utility rates come out. We already know the water and wastewater, and I think it'd be a good a good example of good stewardship back to our community. That's all I had, Mayor.
That's a novel idea. I like thinking outside the box. Thank you, Randy. Mark Baldwin, you're next up.
I don't have anything.
Council Vice President Melton.
Well, I would like to talk about the paper of record again. I don't know if you've noticed that over the last few weeks there's been some issues where staff has had to send out some corrections. And I think that if we're going to have to do that, I don't think we want to be associated with a problem. So if I would say that we look at it again, just from a cost analysis, and say if there's an option that's out there that's better, we do that.
Anyone else?
Thoughts?
I don't want to go through all that again. I don't know. But
okay.
I think it's worth looking at again, and revisiting, because I don't think that we really gave it a fair shake the last time. I think there were politics involved, and we really should analyze the math. Simple as that. Just look at the numbers. Do the numbers work out? Do they not work out?
And last time we didn't even ask for to come close to what we could get somebody else for. So.
Well, I love any analysis with numbers, so I would entertain it. I would like to try to cut through what I saw, where there's a lot of back and forth, and trying to come up with the apples to apples comparison. It seemed like that was always the difficulty. So if we can narrow that down and look at it objectively, I'm all for it.
Randy?
Not interested.
Okay. Well, we can investigate seeing what, drag out the old analysis from last year, I guess. It's not really much has changed, has it?
It would not, what I remember is that the one, I don't even remember what it's called, the thing for Shawnee, there we go, what was it again?
Legal record.
Right, that was the cheapest.
Yep.
Yep.
By far.
Yep.
And that's really, the other was a mess trying to do apples to apples, because it just doesn't work that way.
Correct.
Because Star was really difficult to figure out what they were charging.
It's still difficult.
I can drag it out and we can.
Yeah, I'm interested in
We could look at it, yeah.
meeting the requirements of the statute for the least cost, period.
I think that'll take not very long to look at, because I think unless we just double check to make sure nothing's changed, it's going to be a legal record.
Because the legal record was free for online, right? There's no.
I remember that.
Actually, there has to be a publication.
Yes.
Yeah, it has to be print.
No, they have one, but I mean, you could, if you put it in for the online portion, from the city's perspective, it was free for us, right? But it was the subscribers that were paying for the actual paper. Isn't that their business model?
It's not my right.
No, I don't think so.
You still pay. You still pay.
You still pay to put it out
Okay.
there. It's just that they're.
It was almost not, maybe it was really cheap.
Okay.
I got another beach colleague.
I can dig that down. Check its brain. I would suggest that you don't have staff go to a great deal of time trying to track all this down.
No.
You want to just see
No.
what we had before.
Just
and
bring
look at it
numbers.
again And see if you want to tweak something or check something. I can find that stuff somewhere.
And then here's the thing. I guess if somebody's willing to compete, I have no problem letting them compete.
We'll drag it back out. As soon as I find it.
Councilmember Winters. Anything else, by the way?
Nah, that was it.
Okay.
It was just
Councilmember
simple
Winters?
tonight.
Nope, nothing for me.
Okay. Council President?
I got one thing. Today, 115 years ago, can anybody guess what happened? Especially Michael. Can Michael guess what happened? In Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, with two
Is there
brothers.
some plane thing? Shocking that we would bring
Today,
this up.
Did they install their bathroom?
No. No, two brothers with the last name of Wright, Wilbur and Orville, flew the first heavier-than-air powered aircraft and on the sandy hills in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. And in 1959, there was I don't remember who the president was, but the President of the United States in 1959 made this today a holiday, it's a national holiday. And it's Wright Brothers Day, so happy Wright Brothers Day. And if they hadn't done what they did, Mark and I would both be unemployed. But especially Mark.
There's a number out there somewhere for him.
Well, thank you, Council President. Anything else? No, that's
it. That's it.
Okay. I only have one thing, and that was, well, two things. One, I want to commend two people in particular for the amazing work they've been doing behind the scenes here at City Hall for a couple of different events that we've done. That's Danica Marshall-Kendo in the back, and Jamie Tigers from Kelly, who's not here, but we all know she's been putting a lot of hours into it. But we've had some great functions for city staff, some nice recognition. Rich was there for part of today's, and we're gonna have another event later on this week. And all those things kind of help to build that team atmosphere within our city, and it's really been a great morale booster for the folks that are in this hall, in City Hall. So I want to personally thank you and your efforts, as well as Jamie's and Amy Nasta too. Has pitched in on these as well. Thank you. It's been recognized and well appreciated. So also I have a letter here from Ronnie Metzger, election commissioner. I don't know what you think about him. This is a very nice letter. It says, "Greetings, thank you for your amazing flexibility, understanding, and ongoing support of Johnson County Election Office, and specifically during the 2018 election cycle. This last year, there were 419,403 registered voters who turned out for Election Day. That's an all-time record. 65% voter turnout, all-time record for a midterm election. 231 votes cast, all-time record for gubernatorial midterm election. In particular, we appreciate your assistance in making our polling places more accessible, especially the delivery of cones within the city of Gardner. Please convey our appreciation to everyone who supported this effort in August and November, including your crews who physically delivered cones to polling sites. That includes both the folks in Public Works as well as Public Safety, who help to provide security at some of these polling places. Thank you very much. We're also indebted to you for allowing us to use the Gardner Senior Center as a polling location, which we've used as polling for several years, actually. Can't do this without you. Thanks to the city staff, sincerely, Ronnie Metzger. So I wanted to thank all the folks within the city who helped to pull that together. It was a big undertaking. There was a lot of confusion in some other areas of the metro that was not present here in Gardner, and yet we had the same kind of turnout down here. So thank you. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
New?
Oh, wait, whoa. I forgot about the executive session, didn't I? Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. This is a point of order, Mayor. Get your head out of your you-know-where. Okay, so I will have a all right.
Hey, I might have something to discuss now. Jeez.
Okay, so all right. So there is an executive session to recess into executive session pursuant to attorney-client privilege. How much time do you think we need?
20 minutes.
20 minutes. Okay. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion. Melton, second Moore, that we recess into executive session pursuant to KSA 75-4319B2 to discuss matters related to attorney-client privilege beginning at 8:05 p.m., resuming regular session at 8:25 p.m. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, any abstentions? We are in recess.
listing or selling agent.
All right, man, can I entertain a motion
So
to
moved.
resume regular session?
Second.
All right, motion Moore, second Milton, that we resume regular session. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, any abstentions? We are back in regular session. Any other further comments or concerns? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Seems so early.
So moved.
Second.
So moved, second.
All right. Motion Moore, second Baldwin, that we adjourn. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. All opposed, any abstentions?
Aye.
You are way behind the curve, man. All right, we are now adjourned.
Just wanted to be good. It's all it works.